Hey, it's Kevin from KD Music here. Just thought I'd do an updated video on the Softube Console 1. Softube have just, as of today, from what I've seen, have released a new version of the software. And there was also a previous version which I hadn't included. And I thought I'd run through some changes and have a look at some stuff. So, let's just activate the plugin. Okay, so what are the major changes? One of the first ones that majorly came up was in Pro Tools. They've added the ability of auto naming the tracks. Now the auto numbering still doesn't work, but the auto naming does. So you can see from here it's got audio 1. Now if I was to change that, it automatically updates the name, and you'll see that the number is manual, name is auto. So that's one of the biggest updates in the version 2.1.31, I think it was. So that was the last version. What they also improved on was the saving of presets. So previously, if you wanted to save a preset and you did that, this window here would appear behind all of Pro Tools, behind this window, and you had to close or minimize everything to get to it. It's now up at the front, which is a lot nicer. So one of the other features, they obviously tweaked a lot of things, but one of the other features they added was, or adjustments, was the show knobs. Now I'll just show you, if you go into the setup, you'll see this show value display there. And when you show knobs, you can see that now down here is a value. So if you are using the knobs here, if you don't have your console 1 in front of you, you can at least see what you're changing the settings to, which you couldn't do before. So that's a great feature. So what have they added in the very latest plugin update? Now there's obviously a major thing, which I'll come to in a moment. But some of the other things they have done is they have, if I play this track, you will see they've added a gain reduction meter going on the side here. So let me play and we'll put some compression on. So you can see there's a little gain reduction meter that they've added to the side there. So they've added that. They've also added some things under the settings. So if I actually go into the settings here, you can see we have a set auto display delay. So previously the auto display button, if you use that feature, was locked in, couldn't be adjusted. Now you can change it from any of these settings. They've also tweaked it so that any button or any knob on your console 1 will activate the auto pop-up if you use that feature. So a couple other things they've added. They added Windows support, so all you Windows users out there, you've now got support for console 1. They also added the ability to change a shape module to the Valley People Dynamite. Previously you could only load that in the compressor section. You could not load it in the shape, so they have added that feature. They have also added, they've added several things. Just trying to think. Okay, so if you look on this settings here, you've got rename tracks. Now if you're in a DAW that didn't have automatic track naming, which has been added to Pro Tools now, you could select that and rename the track within the console 1 interface previously, you would have done that by clicking in here, clicking on that and renaming it. So another couple other features, if you've got no settings on your console 1 at all, you get this nice big logo now in the center, but as soon as I adjust something, it disappears. Okay, so another feature is with presets. So one thing we can do now is, let's say I have a favorite setting, like to use it all the time, and let's just say it's that. I can now go into save, do all, and if I change that to default.c1 preset and save it, now what should happen and it obviously doesn't load on existing tracks, so let's get rid of those. So I'm just going to duplicate track, and I'm going to C, and then you'll see there's my setting. So it automatically applied that setting as a default. So you can save defaults under any of the compressors, equalizers, channel strips, etc. Another feature they've added with the presets is that when you look at your preset options here, you have these, you have your factory defaults, and then you have your user settings. Now in the past, you just had all of these just sitting in one spot. But what they've done is they've now added the ability to create your own custom and folder lists. So they specify the path in the manual, but it's like library, application support, Softube Console 1 presets. And then under here, you should be able to create your own folders. So you might do something like that, and then I could say move some patches in there, and then if I come into my console 1, go to my presets, you can see now I've got reverb, and then I've got my presets under folders, so you can create as many as you want and they're there. Okay, so another useful feature they added, especially for something like Pro Tools, which doesn't support the auto numbering feature, is they've got a rearrange tool now. So if you have a look here, I've got this track here is coming up as 1, that's coming up as 3, 4, and 2. So obviously they're not in order. Okay, so if I wanted to fix that, there was a way to do all of this from here, but if I want to do it from the display now, we can go to our settings window, we can select rearrange tracks, and I want to switch track 4. No, switch the right one. I'm trying to think now which one I wanted. So I want to switch track 2 with track 4. So I click on 2, then I click on 4, and that switches them around. So if we go out here now, we'll see if I did it the right way. We got 1, 2, 3, 4. So obviously if I'm first setting this up, I'll put these all in order, but let's say I'm working through my normal process, and what I would do is, for instance, I might decide to add a new track here. And you know, it might be a parallel compression, or it may be something, or I might duplicate the track as I did, and then I'll add console 1 in. And what console 1 does is it automatically grabs the next number. And I could move this to anywhere I like. So for instance, I put it there, it's called Audio 1. But then it doesn't reflect the same order in the Console 1 software. So it's sitting there. If I open Console 1, it's sitting here on number 5. So in this case, I would want to go into Settings. So, alright, click the right thing. Let's turn that back on. Rearrange tracks. I would pick 5, switch it with 3. And we are done. So now they are in the same order. You got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So while it would be great to have the auto feature in Pro Tools, this is a good workaround until that solution is made available, or if it can be. Okay, so let's get to the biggest addition to the Console 1, which is the addition of an SSL 9000 XL series board, I believe it is. And you can see it there in the new version of the manual. There it is there. It's supposed to be a newer board compared to the 4000. It's supposed to be a lot cleaner. It doesn't have the distortion, but what they did to allow people to have some harmonic distortion was to add this VHD variable harmonic distortion circuit, which is part of the Duality series consoles and alpha channel preamps. So obviously I've got a demo version of that plugin. It's just been released, so I thought we'd just go through it and compare the two as well. So first off, so on this track I've got the standard SSL 4000. And on this track here, I thought I'd just bring up. So the way to bring it up is you can just load a new channel strip. So we load that now. And hopefully it switches, which it has. Okay, so you'll see obviously there's a bit of a difference here. We've got different logos, different settings. We've got some different settings here. The dynamic section here, instead of having the transient section that they added for the 4000 sustain and punch, we now have a hold and a range control. Okay, we've got some different default settings here. Not sure what else is different, but it obviously looks different, slightly different color, etc. Okay, so we'll start off with the first test, which is I've got this track muted, we've got a frequency analyzer here. Let's pull up a signal generator. So the 4000 is clean. So I might just solo that. So we've got the same signal generator on the 9000. Okay, so we've got no difference there. So that's with the plugins with nothing on it. Now, if we put a bit of drive into the 4000, put it to 5, we get some harmonics there. There's our 9000. And what happens if we drive that to about the same? That's interesting, it still shows it as clean. What if we push the drive more? Okay, we start to get some more here. So the drive definitely works differently on this one. The character knob. So it'll be interesting to see what the difference is by sound. So let's put that back down to nothing. Put that back down to nothing. Okay, so let's turn the signal generators off. Okay, so I have the same track on each one, identical. I'll have it looped, and I'll just play this section, and then I'll switch between the two to see if we can hear a difference. So at the moment, I've got no settings on either of these tracks. It's just clean. Okay, so let's try, we'll put a bit of drive on each one, and I'll just drive it as it's playing, and then we'll switch over the other one, do the same thing. So, okay, let's have a bit of a play with some of the EQ stuff. So let's start with, let's put our drives back down to 0. Let's see what we can do with the EQ. So let's put a shelf 8K, 5 dB. Let's see what we can get with this one. Okay, what about some low end? Let's go down, let's do about 60. And let's do something in the mids there. Let's go for a 2K. Six TB sounds good. Okay, what else can we play with? How about we check on some compression and see what that does. So let's just I'll play this track and we'll just get a bit of compression going. So you can see from this, the settings are a lot different. So we have fast or slow attack. Our release is that, and we have threshold. So if we were to try and set it to the same, let's see what that does. So you can see there it's responding a lot differently. So I need to have a little play with that to see the best results. So the compressors are definitely a lot different. You can see a lot more detail on the graph here, whereas with the 4000 it's obviously emulating a bit more of the fact that with the 4000 you only had those little LEDs, so it would show 3 or it would show 6, whereas the 9000 is showing all the little lines in between. And I just realized I still had the EQ on, so that was a good test. Let's do that again without the EQ on. So let me just play it first, make sure I get a good setting. even the volume control is automatically a lot finer. So the controls on the 9000 are a lot finer than the 4000. Now obviously I can press the fine button and go into it, but actually no, I stand corrected. It's just a feature that Softube have updated. They've made the controls a lot finer without having to press the fine button. Usually that just jumps straight to 1 dB automatically before. So that's a good setting. So this is not a very good track to do a gate on, but let's have a bit of a play with the gate anyway, just for the sake of seeing what it does. Now let's do the same thing on the 4000 just for comparison's sakes. You can just have a look at what we're doing there. Now obviously the sustain and punch are not part of the gate on this, that is just a transient designer. So I guess my perspective from that little play there, I think the gate on the 9000 is something that you get a lot more control over and probably be more useful. So saying that, you might say, and let's try this, I haven't tried this yet, so it's a good example. You might say you want the 4000 EQ compression, but I want the 9000 shape. So we can go into the load shape settings and I can go and load the 9000 gate. I have the SSL EQ, SSL compressor, SSL drive and filters, but I've now added the XL 9000 gate. So let's have a play. So there you go. So, and we can mix and match these as much as we like. I could add the 9000 peak. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that there's a peak and an RMS compressor. So I can mix that. So I can add the peak. Still got the 4000 EQ. I could have the 4000 gate, but I could have the 9000 peak compressor. So let's see what happens when we pick the RMS compressor. Okay, so the RMS compressor seems to be more in line with the SSL compressor from a settings point of view. Now we can obviously do the same on the XL9000. We could say we want the XL9000, but we want to change the compressor to the SSL 4000 compressor, or the gate, or we can mix and match either of these as we so choose. So if you find that you like the SSL 9000 option, you want to buy it, then you know you can do whatever you like. And you know the rumours still are that Softube will be releasing more channel strips in the future. Obviously they've been concentrating on SSL at the moment, so maybe in the next channel strip they come out with will venture into a different manufacturer altogether, but we'll have to wait and see for that one. So I hope this has been useful to you. This has only just come out, so I haven't really grasped everything with it at the moment. It's brand new, and as I've been recording this, I've been flicking to the manual to find out how things have been working, and I've only got the 9000 in demo at the moment. I don't own it, so the price is not cheap. I think they're listing it about $329 US. So when I say it's not cheap, but it's not overly expensive. You know, a Waves 4000 can be a lot more than that. But it's not an insignificant amount of money too, so you want to make sure that it does what you think it does. So if you have the console one, it's quite simple to get a demo version of it. The demo version will last 20 days. You do have to provide your iLock account, and they will put a demo key into your iLock account, and then you can just install the software as you normally do with Softube plugins. Just run their application and just select the 9000, add it to your bundle, and install it, and off you go, and give yourself a nice 20 days of trial with it to see if you like the features. But as I said, I haven't played with it enough yet, but I mean, just having a quick glance at some of the features, the gate seems a lot more detailed. The compressor I have to have a play with. They do list it in their documentation as being more of a clean emulated board. They even state that it's very good for hip-hop and R&B, classical, jazz type music, whereas the 4000 has a bit more grit and a bit more distortion to it, and they recommend that for your pop and your rock and hard rock, etc., and probably metal as well. Yeah, but have a play and see what you think. Thanks for watching.